Page 38, My Funny Valentine. 3 flats. You think maybe E flat major, maybe, but it starts out actually in C minor. So it's kind of going back and forth between the 2 keys. I'll let you figure out what it's in. It's got 3 flats, that's what we know. And as usual, this is a vocal piece and it doesn't fall into the fingers real well, so we'll have to kind of work things out a little bit. Let's start with the right hand. At the beginning, it's not too bad. Rhythm is not a problem here. You just got a bunch of 8th notes. For the most part, they stick in a triplet here and there, but we'll get there. But at the beginning, it's 1, 2, 3. Remember the E flat, second measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and the next 2 measures are identical to that second line. Now we come into a problem because you're in this position, and if you start the second line there with thumb, then you're going to have to come up with 1, 2 on the next one. It's a little awkward. Unfortunately, I can't find another fingering that works any better. So you're pretty much there. You're going to have the thumb go on the C and then the B flat, the next note. The melody is the top note. The pedal will help it out, but for now we're trying to do it with the fingers. So the second measure there on the second line is here. And then 2, 4. Don't forget the A flat. And now we get this triplet. We would like it to all be even 8th notes. It would be something like this on the third measure. It would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it's 1 and 2 and. But the first one, instead of 2 and, they put in a triplet. So we have triplet 16th notes, which is the same as 1/8 note, counting it. So you got to get in those 3 notes in 1/8 note. See, normally it'd just be 2 16th notes to an 8th note. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. That one. But we need another note in there. It's got to be a triplet, so it'll be faster than that. 1, 1, 2, and. So the 2 comes on the D, the triplet. The and of 2 is on the C. So it's 1 and 2 and. That's the rhythm. Now whether you use third finger or second finger or whatever, that's up to you. But put a thumb on the C, because you can finger the triplet 3, 4 if your fingers will do it. Otherwise it's 2, whatever, you can do 4 and 5. But the point is you need a thumb on that C. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Last measure, second line, watch these accidentals. B natural, and then A flat, and then you back down to your melody again. Try and bring out the melody note as a top note. Your thumb is busy with the way it goes. Last line on page 38. Then you're here, thumb out. Bring the thumb for the G, so you're here. Now this works out okay to do the 2, 1 in the second measure, the last bit, the last note on A natural, going into the next measure, A flat. If you can do that, that works out very nicely. Now we got this triplet mess going on here. So you've got to have this in the time of 1/8 note. 1, so it's 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and so it's a C flat, and I do a 3, 5, 3. You can do a 3, 4, 3, but I find 3, 5 easier. If you can do a 4, that's fine. A 4, 5 if you can, but I recommend for most people it's going to be a 3, 5 on those for the triplet. The B flat, the C flat, a thumb on the G, just follow their fingering. Now the last measure, we're ending that phrase coming down, so lift up before you play the G. So here, it's pick up to what's going on. The phrase starts here as is your. It's all connected. Top of page 39, first measure. They're showing a 4 on that E flat eighth notes. Alright, you don't have to. You can do a third finger on that or second finger. But you do need 4 on the second E flat on the chord. You need that fingering if you can get there. It's just on the eighth note you can do a 2 or a 3. And then there. Second measure, 8 quarter notes. The thumb for the D. And then here. And again, for the eighth note, they say fourth finger on the eighth note. Don't have to, I can play it with a thumb and then come down. I'll leave that up to you which way you do that. Again, 4, 2 in the last note, the first line with thumb. So you're here. I do a 2, 4, 5 on that note because this is the chord. And again, I do a thumb on the eighth note E flat. This is the second line, first measure. Hold the half note down. Now here, the second measure, it's an A flat, D flat, E flat. And then their fingering is fine. And you want the fourth finger on the top note. If you play it with fifth finger, substitute a fourth after you play it. So you can use fifth finger on the next one. And then lift up, it's at the end of a phrase, and then B natural, and then you're back to the melody. Now, so that line's okay. Fourth line down. Here, I'm connecting the melody. That's what I'm after. I know the pedal will connect the sound, but I want to feel it with the fingers. I want to play it legato with the fingers if I can. And then end of a phrase. Now, eighth notes there in the third measure. You have a B flat to start with and then a B natural. And then here, you can play that with a 2, 4, 5 if you want. They're all black keys. It's A flat, D flat, E flat. And then down. And then going on. Hold, in the last line, hold those half notes down. Here, 2. And then here. And then there's a pause, the 2 little lines. I'll come back to that. Then the next measure is here, and the notes are written here, but 8VA means you play them up here. Finger it, 5, 2, 5, 1, and I would do a 5, 1, and then cross over and do a 2, 5 on the chord, the whole note, like so, because I can do that. They want you to go 2, and that's okay too. I just find it awkward to put the fifth finger on that note. Sometimes you have to, but here I can do a 4 and then cross over. I'll leave it up to you. For the left hand, it's got a lot of broken chords in it, a lot of accidental, so let's talk about it. At the beginning, it says legato. It means you're going to connect it with the fingers. Don't let the pedal, all the pedal's going to do it, I ain't going to worry about it. I would discourage that sort of approach. Try and do it with the fingers if you can. And they're saying 4, 2, and that's good. The 4, 2, 1, and watch the notes. You've got a lot of ledger lines up here. They could have put this in treble clef and you wouldn't have all these ledger lines, but it's good practice to read these ledger lines. You need to know these notes anyway. So, C, the E flat, and the G. So it's a C minor chord. This piece starts out in C minor. So 1 and 2 and rest, and you got to rest on 3, and then and 4 and the next measure. This is why you put fourth finger on the first measure, so you can use fifth here. Rest, rest, rest. Next line, like this fingering. then lift up and use fifth finger again. 4 on the A flat, and then here. Last measure. That's okay. That works. Another fingering you can use is 1, 3, 2, 1. Either one. Some pieces you need one fingering, other pieces you need a different fingering. You need to be able to do it either way. Out of habit, I tend to do a 1, 3, 2, 1. And then the next measure, you're like you were at the first line, but now you're lower. You're down here. And the notes are a little different. So let's go through this. The rhythm's the same. B natural. Now B flat. Now you're going to have to, there's a way to prevent that where I can connect it with the hands, but keep it simple. We'll just keep this fingering. Because I can do this. Put the thumb on the G. And then I can reach it, if your hand's big enough. Last line. I would prefer a fourth finger on the A flat. So I can use second finger on the C, and then down again. The reason is because this is part of a type of arpeggio you'll get from time to time, and that's the fingering I would use, so I have a tendency to use fourth finger on that. Second measure again is here, and the last line. And then the chord, it's a C flat. And then the last measure. The last measure you're pretty much stuck with that fingering because it's rather awkward. I could come over with fourth finger, and then I can do 3, 2. Not that it's important. You can do come over with third finger. That fingering is fine. Then on page 39, we're quarter notes. See, this is one of those where the hand is stretching out way over an octave. It'd be hard to cover all these notes in one chord. Hand's that big, but you don't have to, because you're going to slightly move the hand as you're rolling around on these notes. So here, then see, I come up, and then here. You don't have to play every B flat with a third finger. You can go here. I can go fifth finger or fourth finger, but the first and the third B flat in that pattern needs to be with third finger. So the first B flat on the first measure of page 39, that is with third finger. But then these others, okay, until the second measure of the last B flat, that needs to be third finger because you're coming back down. And so you want third finger when you're going to go down or up. Second line, second measure, here. They're saying fourth finger on an E natural, and then fifth finger. That's up to you. You don't have. You could use 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. It's up to you how you want to finger that. Because you're going to lift up and move for the eighth notes. That fingering is good there for the last two measures of the second line. Last note, they're saying hit it with the 5, don't hit it, press it down with a 5, then substitute the 1, because again you're fingering at legato. I leave that up to you, because the pedal is going to do that. If you want to just lift up and move, you can get away with that. But the phrase starts on the third beat of that if you look at the right hand. So this is all part of a phrase, but it's a phrase for the right hand, not the left. However, I can do it a different way. In the left hand, the last two notes on that line, I can do 1 and then a 3, and then I can reach the C, and I don't have to substitute, etc. Then on the third line, this arpeggio going up, all these notes in this measure, it's part of an arpeggio, C minor arpeggio, and I use fourth finger on the E flat here. So it's 1 and 2 and rest here, and then the next measure. We've had all this before. Reach down if you can on the fourth line down, second measure, the last note. If you can, play that with a C, and then you're there. If not, play it with a 5 and move. Third measure of the fourth line is here, 5, 3, 2, and then come down. And I tend to want to do the A flat with the second finger because I'm going to hold the B flat, the low B flat down. And then I can do a 5-1. It's a little awkward. If you want, you can finger it their way. Thumb on all. I prefer a 1 if I can. So, depends on how big your hands are. Last line on page 39 here. And then lift up. Don't have to, because the first notes I can do a 5, 2, 3, and then I'm there. Be natural. Then we have that pause again, and then here. The last measure. I had to put a fourth finger on the E flat. That's what I recommend. You can do it their way if you want. Work it out. Try to get these fingerings worked out. It's kind of tricky. Then when you do, try to put them together, and that's tricky all over again. So at the beginning, we want to hear the melody. That's the right hand. So here, keep the left hand soft if you can. So you got so much stuff going on in the left hand. The left hand tends to want to come out, and you have to suppress that. You got to keep it down. It says slowly. It's not a fast piece, but I'll leave that up to you. You can find recordings of this. Third measure. See, we're starting out sort of soft. That's the melody. And the whole first line you're there. And the second line, you got a little crescendo up on this phrase. I would go up to there and then hold the left hand down as you do this mess in the right hand. I tend to put a little retardando in there. It's not written, it's an interpretive thing, but you don't need to do that. Your third line, it's the same attitude as the first line, you're just down lower. Try and bring out the top note if you can. And then you got a decrescendo because you had that swell again, and the last line you're going to get a little louder as you go up. Tend to retard again, you don't have to, it's an interpretive thing. So the pickup to page 39 is the last two beats of the last at the bottom of 38 is here. And then going on, the melody's the top note. And you're medium soft here. That's the top note. Everything else has to be softer than that. Flats in the second line, second measure, and then here, so you got this, the getting louder up to the here, so it's here, so stay down when you're starting that. This starts the beginning of the second measure, the second line with the 2 quarter notes here. You're still medium soft here. Now you start getting louder. That's where you're going for. And then come back down. And then you're back to where. So then you're back to your original thing. Third line down, you're here. You stay soft. See, here you're loud. There's a crescendo at the beginning of the 4th line, so you're starting it soft and you're going to crescendo up to loud by the 3rd measure. Don't get loud too soon. So here's soft, sort of soft. Now you're loud on stay. Come down a little bit. Now you can retardando, slow down a little bit. And now we're back to slow. This is slower, means slower than you were going at the beginning. This is even slower than that. It's sort of an afterthought. It's just each. How much slower is up to you? Now we have this pause, the 2 little lines, the caesura or however you want to pronounce it. It simply means stop for a moment. Complete silence. Just for a moment. It's like stopping and taking a breath and then singing the last note. And then you have, this is soft and it's molto retardando, means slow down a whole bunch. There, gives you an idea. Work all that out. Get the phrasing and all the dynamics and everything worked out. And after you get all that working, then you can add the pedal in. Let's see what we can do with the pedal. The thing is basically legato throughout, and they're showing overlapping pedal, I think mainly just to make it easier on you. And no, I don't like all the blurriness. We gotta get rid of some of the blurriness, so let's see what we can do with that. Sort of overlapping pedal throughout, changing on each measure. Because you're going with the harmony in the left hand, it's changing, so you're changing the pedal along with it. So here, slowly at the beginning. They want the same thing. Let's see what happens if I pedal it the way they're saying too. Second line. Now since the attitude of this is sort of a misty thing, misty effect, then you can get away with all this blurriness here on the 3rd measure of the 2nd line. Because they do change the pedal in between it on the B flat. And I would encourage you to put just a little natural accent on that B flat. So it's here, 1, here, on that, 1. Although you could lift the pedal up completely on the last 2 beats. On the last measure, I would pedal the last 2 beats of that measure separately too. So it's here, here, and again, and actually, or just leave the pedal up on the last beat and then go on. This muddiness again, and put a little natural accent on the G, because a bum, bum, 1, and they're changing pedal. That's fine if that's what you want. You could alter the pedal and get rid of the mushiness if you want, because as I pedal it the way I did the first one is here. I don't even have to pedal the last beat. The last measure is page 38. If you're going to put in a phrase break there, you're going to lift up between those notes. Lift the pedal up with the right hand on the A flat here, right there. Lift it up and don't pedal the last 2 beats. So it's this way. So it's clean just for a moment before you start in again at 39. Now here it's every 2 beats, and that's okay. They put in an accelerando there. That means speed up a little bit, rush up to that forte, and then put it, the retardando in the next measure takes you back down. I would like to hear a break in the sound on the last measure between the 2 half notes in the right hand. Here, here. There's no break in the left hand, but it's just a new phrase, and I think that helps to add to it. So to do the second line again, it's here. And then you're back down to nice and mushy, isn't it? That's fine. I don't want to mess with it. You can do that. The third line we've already had. You can fit, just pedal it the way they're showing us. Slower. Again, watch the pedaling every 2 beats, because you're holding the left hand down. So the next measure, lift up, pedal and everything. They don't have a pedal lift there. There's no point in a pause if you're not going to have silence. So lift up. Otherwise, it's a fermata. If they wanted you to hang on to those notes and the sound, then they should put a fermata in on the notes they want held on. But a caesura is silence. Lift the pedal up too. And then play the end of it. And then at the end, after a little bit, lift the keys up, and then gradually lift the pedal up and let the sound just die away. It's a beautiful piece. Very hard to play, but a beautiful piece.